Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in my art demos, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel below. Links for all the supplies to make marbled papers and objects are down below under the word more. And while you're there, you might also want to check out my free 5-lesson online workshop, Collage Kickstart, where I teach you how to use all the collage papers taught during Tune In Tuesday to make fabulous collages the very first try. So let's get into creating gorgeous marbled collage papers. To make easy marble papers, first you need a selection of the easy marble product. Now, this is a solvent-based resin product. Think of it as like an oil paint. So it is a little bit more tricky to clean up, although you can clean it up with water. It's very hard to get off your hands. So I am going to be wearing gloves throughout this. And it was a good thing because when I didn't wear gloves, the resin actually stuck to my hands and it took a while for me to get it off. So this product will actually stick to almost anything you put it on, from paper, styrofoam, glass, metal. I tried a number of things and the marbling effect was good for all of them. Now, I selected different colors based on my limited palette that I use, which is a 3-color primary palette of Hansa Yellow Light, Phthalo Green Blue Shade, and Quim Magenta. So I tried to approximate colors in the easy marble that had the end result of if I mixed those 3 primaries together, what would I get? So they don't actually have a product called Phthalo Blue Green Shade, but they do have colors that I could make based on my primary colors. I want to stick with colors that will work with the kind of library of collage papers I'm making so that all my collage papers will naturally go together. The next thing you need is some kind of container to put water in. The water temperature happens to be an important ingredient for this particular paper. You need to have kind of cold to room temperature water. And you don't need much of it. So you could put it in a very shallow tray like this. I'm only using about 1/4 inch of water. However, you're going to see me actually using this larger container, but I'm still only putting a very minimal amount of water in the container, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. The other option is to use some kind of larger container like this. This is particularly good if you want to marble a 3-dimensional object. So you put the marble on basically on the top here, on top of the water, and you dip your item in, pull it out, and you have a marbled almost anything you can think of. And I'm going to show you that later on in this demonstration. The other thing you need is something to pull through the marble to create the marbled effect. So I've got, I think this is an awl to punch holes in, but I just need something sharp to pull through. It doesn't have to be sharp, but it has to have a pointy end so that I can pull through the marbling. You can use a skewer, you can use a toothpick, a lot of things will work for this. And whatever container you choose, expect it to look like this when you're done. So this particular container was completely white when I started. It now has the marbling paint stuck to it and it will not come out. Make sure that whatever container you choose to do this in, you know that it's going to have some residue of paint when you're done. So let's get started with our first marbling experiment. Okay, I'm all set up and ready to go. I've got a selection of cool colors to work with. I prefer mixing cool colors together and warm colors together as opposed to warms and cools together, just because it's easier to work with that in my collages. So my basin is full of water. Actually, it's not full. It's only got about maybe 1/4 inch of water. You don't need too much. This basin wouldn't have to be as high as it is. It could be a very shallow basin, actually. So I'm just going to randomly choose a color. Now, this is an unusual color to choose. It's white, but first you need to shake it. In fact, whatever colors I'm going to use for this first round, I need to shake first and then open each one of them as well before I actually start applying this, because as soon as I start putting the ink down, the marbling solution, it will start to kind of coagulate. I don't know what's the right word, but it will start working its magic and also hardening. It is kind of like a resin is what I understand. So although you may not be able to see this, there's like a little kind of a foam or a layer of this ink being laid down. So you need a good layer of the first layer. In fact, I may not even have enough. I'm kind of trying to look to see if I have enough. So that's white. And then put down, this is a dark blue, it's called denim. And you're really just shaking it on top. And it's beginning to get a reaction here and spread. And then I'm gonna put some light blue on top of that. Even though it looks like I'm using a lot of ink here, I'm actually not. This will last quite a long time. Now, I have a number of different pointed things here. It doesn't really matter what I use. And I'm just gonna very gently move this. Now, a little thing about what I'm doing here is that I am working in a very hot studio. I don't have air conditioning at the moment. So you might hear some birds singing because all of my windows are open. And that's actually affecting this process. If I had air conditioning at the moment, I'd be getting more of a marbling effect. But actually, I like what's happening anyways. I don't really need marbling. I like kind of this abstract look to this. But that's why some of the marbling is actually attaching to my implement here because it is hot in the room. Okay, I think that's enough of a design. So I'm gonna start with a piece of mixed media paper. I'm just gonna lay it down. It's a little tiny bit big for this. The edge here is not actually laying down, but that's okay. I'll get enough of a design to, so I just pick it up. Look at that. All of the ink that was down there is now on here. That's gorgeous. Now I've just gotten a piece of scrap paper and I'm just gonna scrape up the extra ink that's at the bottom that was not used. And you need to do this each time you put down a design. Otherwise that extra ink will randomly show up, which might be okay on the next design. So it's actually right here on the edge of my sheet here. I'm gonna do, let me try dark blue on the bottom. You can see this better. Yeah, this is spreading better. I'm not really sure why. One of the key components here is the water itself. It needs to be kind of cool, really cool water. Yeah, this is spreading much better than the first one. And I think I'm gonna actually go with just these two colors. I think that's really pretty. And then again, I'm going to just lightly move this. And again, if it wasn't so warm in the room that I'm in, I could actually move this around so I would get more of a kind of a mosaic. But I have to be careful because the room is hot and it's actually, you see this, the ink is actually attaching itself to my little implement. But I'm getting enough of a design that's going to be interesting. So I can get some of that blue to go over there. I actually kind of like a more subtle design anyways for my collage papers. They're easier to use than if they're heavily patterned. It's kind of funny if the ink is actually hanging off the side here. So you can do this with any paper at all. Now this is an old, what do you call this? It's an old grade card from a cousin of mine that I inherited all of his kind of memorabilia after he died. Pull this up, hopefully, oh, I don't think it worked. Okay, that one was a fail. So let me see. I think I can put it down a second time and it might work. We'll see. That was better. Okay, that was better. It's an interesting design. And again, it's because the room is hot. This will be usable for about 90 seconds, and I may be over my 90-second mark. So I'm just gonna see if I can salvage some of that ink that's on the paper. The longer I wait, the more this will start to dry, and I'll get more of this, like it wants to attach itself to everything, which is part of the magic of this, actually. It'll try, this is a piece of rice paper, see if I can get that ink to attach to the rice paper. Looks like it's going to. Whew. Very cool. See, that's a very usable piece of collage paper. It's got enough interest, but not too wild. I love the abstractness of that. I'm gonna take my cardboard again. By the way, it can be any kind of paper. It could be, I could use a paper towel. anything just to get some of that kind of floating extra ink up. Let's try warm and cool together. Why not, right? So I'm gonna put some blue down as my base. You can really see that. And I'm trying to get the entire surface covered. It's not working as much as I wanted to just because of the heat in the room. Let's see, I'm gonna add some orange. I love blue and orange together. Now, one of the cool things about this product is that these colors actually won't mix. So adding this orange on top, which is, God, it's so pretty. I'm not gonna get blue and orange mixed together. They're gonna stay separate, which is a nice feature of this. So I can get a little bit of mosaic going here. Seems like my warm colors are more susceptible to me moving them around than my cool colors were. Again, when you try it in a very cool room, and hopefully you'll get even more movement. This is 100% because my room is warm. Okay, I'm gonna get bold. This is an envelope cover, and see, I think I'm gonna rip off to make sure that I can get the full thing in my little box. I've specifically chosen papers that fit the box so I don't waste any ink. I want to see what happens to that window. I place that down, see if it'll adhere to it. Easy Marble is supposed to adhere to absolutely anything, including your fingers, which is why I'm using gloves. I've had quite a lot of the product on my fingers. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay, this could be my new favorite thing. I may have to do like 1,000 envelopes. I knew I was saving those for a reason. Wow. Now, this hasn't been down there that long, so I'm gonna be a little bold and put some orange down. This may not work, but I got about 90 seconds to a minute. 90 seconds to 2 minutes before this doesn't work anymore. This, the ink actually gets hard. And we'll put a little, let's just throw some yellow in there. I'm trying to stick with the, oh, that's pretty. Wow. Now the thing is, I wouldn't have to move anything around. I could just pick up a print right here, which is probably what I'm gonna do because this ink the blue ink has already been sitting down for a while. So let me just put something right on top of it. A piece of collage paper that I don't like, that I've just been sitting around. See if I can improve it with the marbling. Oh gosh, is that gorgeous or what? Another cool thing about Easy Marble is that you can put it on top of anything. So I've got an old seashell, I've got this glass paperweight dome that's been sitting around my studio forever. I'm gonna see if Easy Marble will work on absolutely any surface. So let's try some cool colors. Actually, I'm just gonna go for broke and actually put all kind of colors down because you really can't go wrong with this product in terms of mixing, because again, the colors won't mix together. I won't create mud. I will actually create just what you're seeing here. I mean, it's not going to mix together, which means I have a lot of versatility in terms of putting down colors without getting mud. I need to mix a little bit. So, I really need like a big basin of this for it to work really well, as opposed to, I've only got a 1/4 inch of water, but it's still adhering. But this needs to be submerged. Note to self, but I still got a good mosaic on that. Actually, it might even be more interesting that way because it's not completely covered. There's a lot of ink there. Let me see if I can pull some of that up. This is an old piece of collage paper again. This is actually cling wrap. It was a fail, or an almost fail, enough for me not to want to use it. See if I can get that ink to come up on it. Yeah, and it did. Oh, much better. Love that. Okay, I literally looked all over my studio for things to dip that would be more three-dimensional. And I came up with this funnel and a wine stopper. So let's play with this and I'll show you how this works. Put some red. Now this is only going on the surface of this. It's not going all the way in it, which is a pretty cool thing. So I'm just literally going to dip things and my object is going to just be covered with the top layer of ink that I am laying down here. Okay, I am barely going to move this around. It's already got a nice pattern going. It's interesting, the yellow and the red allow me to manipulate them more. Not really sure why. So let me, just because this is easier, let me dip my wine stopper and see what happens. Now I'm gonna put it in. Now all the ink is just adhered on both sides. However, let's see, pull it real quick, there. So I've got a pretty cool wine stopper. So let me try a blue combination. Oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm gonna take, this is a paperweight from actually Collage Keepsake, another one of my classes that just got messed up. So let me see if I can revive it by putting this in it. Put my whole hand in it. Oh, yes, love that. Very cool. Now that is a useful, actually, don't wanna mess it up. It's actually on both sides. And because I can't resist, I'm gonna put my funnel in here, see what happens. So I gotta dip it all the way in. See if it picked up the ink. And it did. Look at that. Now I've got a cool colored funnel. And this is permanent, so it adheres absolutely to everything. I want to try mixing colors. So I bought a set number of colors, but I don't have any green. You can mix the colors to get other colors. So this is a dry Petri dish. Put some blue in there and put yellow in there, which should create green or maybe a turquoise. Let's see. And mix that together. Yeah, I got a nice, whatever you call that, a apple green, which I like. I'm gonna bring back my basin. I have to work pretty quickly, but I'm gonna take this and see if I can just add it to here. Or maybe I need to drip it in here. Yeah, that worked. So now I've got this apple green. Very cool. As the base. Get rid of all of it. I think orange might be cool for that. Add a little bit of orange to that. Yeah. Some yellow to that. Move it around just a little bit. Just to get more of a pattern. It's interesting. Yeah, it's starting to stick to my stick here. I'm gonna try putting this on a piece of black cardboard. See if this works. Partially. Put it down again. So I can get more of it on there. So that's kind of interesting. Always in for an experiment. Well, I don't know. I won't know that until it dries, but I'm thinking it's good. But I'm gonna see if I can get a little more of the ink on there. Interesting. Here's the stash of the papers that I made at 6 o'clock this morning. They are dry at this point. However, it is recommended that you let them continue to dry for another 24 hours before they're completely dry. So let me show you a few of these. I am completely in love with this. I just think this will make a gorgeous collage paper. And I particularly like the ones that don't have a lot of color in them. That is just my style. I do have a little blooper there, but when you only have one or two colors, this is much easier to put in the style of collage that I make. So if you've taken Collage Kickstart with me, my free 5-lesson class, or taken other classes with me, you'll know that I usually use like all cool papers or all warm papers in a single collage. This is with rice paper. Just think that's absolutely gorgeous. So those are some cool papers. I've got some warm papers. These are have a very simple pattern in terms of the marbling, so it would be easy to put this in a collage. This is over a piece of collage paper that I didn't like, and now I love this collage paper. More warms. And then I got some really great neutrals. Like this would be fantastic to counterbalance, you know, a warm or a cool collage. Here are my dark ones. These may not look like that much, but I think they may be really interesting in a collage next to either warm or cool papers. Now, my very favorite papers of the entire haul were these. This is the papers that had a window, it's a bill, and the marble adhered to that cellophane just amazingly. So this will be really cool to have a transparent element in our collage. Oh my gosh, love that so much. Before I leave you to make these for yourself, I want to give you 4 tips that will make this much easier for you to do. Number 1, make sure that you wear gloves and protect your clothing. Because this acts like an oil paint, it's a solvent-based resin. It's actually quite hard to get out of clothes, but it's not hard to throw away some plastic gloves. So that was really important. If you can see, I've got some of the paint on my finger from this morning, and it will eventually wear off, or I can put some nail polish remover or some turpentine on it, but it's hard to do. So gloves are essential. Second is make sure that you shake each one of these bottles and open the bottles before you start shaking the product into the water. Because once you start putting the product in the water, you've got about 90 seconds to 2 minutes before this starts getting a film over it and it becomes unusable. So you want this already shooken, if that's the right word, and opened before you start applying it to your water. Number 3, the water temperature is critical. So you need room temperature to cool water. Because I was actually doing this particular demo in a very hot room because my air conditioner is temporarily on the fritz, I had to make sure I was doing it very early in the morning before the temperature could actually heat my water up. And number 4, make sure you don't do this technique for more than 30 minutes at a time. This does have a little bit of an alcohol odor, and I noticed after doing it for 35 minutes, it started to feel a little uncomfortable, meaning I felt my stomach kind of reacting to breathing in all that alcohol. So either wear a mask, have a vented room like I certainly do, every window is open, or just do it for a limited amount of time and it should be fine. Anyways, hope that you have an absolute blast making your own papers, and I can't wait to see what you make with this. Let me just warn you up front, it is really hard once you get started to stop because you see the endless possibilities of what you can do, like covering all of the objects in your house with this amazing product. To learn how to make many more types of collage papers, check out the links that are about to appear right here, and be sure to join my free 5-lesson online class, Collage Kickstart. The link to sign up is under the word "more" below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would be deeply grateful if you would. And I'll see you back here next week for Tune In Tuesday.